quick ball towards Whiteley. Squares it towards G.
Everywhere we go, everywhere we go, the Bromley boys making all the noise. Everywhere we go.
Yes, 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 ladies and gents, it is the long hidden, not forgotten, but the long hidden From Bromley with Love deep dive with myself, Machel and Hewitt, and of course the one and only Colin Head. If it wasn't for Colin Head, people, and if it wasn't for the original two-footed tackle fanzine, which the old school Bromley fans will know about, From Bromley with Love would never ever have existed. So it's important that you pay homage to Cole, who essentially was really the originator of any kind of concept of any Bromley fan culture of any sort, written wise. So Cole, it's the end of another season. We should have done these a lot more, but you know how it goes, families and time and all of that. Yeah. We should have done this a lot more during the course of the season, but I had loads of people message me at the end of the season going, when are you and Cole going to do like a deep dive looking back at the season? It was always my plan anyways, but it has to be done. Our first ever, bloody hell, as I'm even saying it, our first ever season in the Football League has ended. Bromley ended in 11th place with 66 points, 4 points off the playoffs. Chesterfield were the last team to claim the playoff position with 70 points. Of course, Chesterfield came up with us last season from the National League, having won the National League by about 20 points last season. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Obviously, we can get into the FA Cup and all of that, but let's just jump straight into it. Possibly, let's focus on the league campaign in and of itself first. When you and if you take a moment to just kind of step back from it all, what has been your kind of reflections on the season that was?
Pretty remarkable, really. I think obviously we started unbelievably well by winning our first two games. Then we got a bit of a culture shock, realised how hard it was going to be. But come by the end of October, I thought, you know what, we belong here. And I think we've apart from the blip in January, which obviously we'll talk about around the FA Cup, which probably cost us the playoffs, but maybe not be a bad thing really in your first season, given the size of the club we are. I think it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the football. I've enjoyed the way we've played. It's been good, really good.
What has been? I asked Andy this on Saturday, and he was rather bullish, as you would expect in true Andy Woodman style, that he felt that there wasn't really that many fine margins between the quality of the National League and the quality of League Two. And I feel like we've seen Bromley, between the two of us, we've seen Bromley in the non-league system for decades upon decades upon decades. But more importantly, over the last 9 years, we saw Bromley specifically in the National League context. So I think we are, unlike Chesterfield, who've been in the league before, we are well placed as a non-league side in the way that Sutton probably were as well, to go, hold on a minute, what's the gap really like between National League and League Two? What's your takeaway on that now you've had a season?
I think the game where I suddenly realised that there is a gap. Like I genuinely believe that there is a gap, and you have to improve to stand still. When we played Crewe at home and we were 1-0 up with 7 minutes to go, that's a National League game. We're putting 6 behind the ball, sometimes 11. And we're seeing that game out as a 1-0 win. We ended up losing that game 2-1. And really, for me, like, that was the day I thought, right, so that's the step up. If you don't take your chances and you give them a chance, they'll take it. I think there's a step up in quality, definitely.
What about the bottom end, though? Because in fairness, When
Yeah.
Crew done us, so Crew did us home and away. In fact, they did. They were one of the few teams to do the double over us, right? And they smashed us and beat us up away from home, right? But Crew ended outside the playoffs as well. I think they were I think it might have been one place above us. And like if we go through the top 10, we'll get to the bottom of the league in a minute. But like, let's look at the top 10, for example. Actually, I think we did better. There's I wouldn't say we did better against the teams at the top. But anyways,
I think we did, yeah.
Doncaster won it. We beat them home and away.
Yeah, double. Yeah.
Port Vale came second. We drew at home and they ripped us up away from home.
Yeah.
Bradford, I think Bradford did the double.
Yeah, they did
the double. They were a good
1-0 at our place. It was a
Bradford
really
very good side. They done the double on us. Then we go to the playoff teams. AFC Wimbledon, we done them home and away.
We did.
Notts County, we lost at home, did we draw away? I think we drew away.
Yeah, we did.
Against Notts County. Walsall, we drew home and away.
2-2, both games, yeah.
And Chesterfield drew at home, lost away, right? So, I'm obviously, I don't want to fall into that trap of being like, and therefore that says that we're a top 17. No, I'm not trying to say that at all. But there was a significant, as there should be, when we played like Donny, even though we beat Donny home and away, you knew that they like the Donny 1-0 at home must have been the most dominated 1-0 win.
I was on one of their podcasts a couple of days later, and he was like, "We've had 33 shots, you've had one." I was like, "Yeah, I know, but there you go."
but like when I look back at like Donny and Port Vale and Bradford, I go, "Yeah, you know what? They were good. They were properly good, and we don't have that level of quality to sustain over a season, and we don't have the budget."
No, that's it.
To be fair, when we played the bottom lot now, Morecambe, dreadful, absolutely dreadful, right? Who went down with them? Carlisle. I mean, they beat us away and drew at home.
They just messed up.
Yeah,
with the change of manager in the middle of the season. Once they got Mark Hughes in, it was about a month too late. Because you've let the other guy spend a fortune in the transfer window and then sack
him. Yeah.
But I would go Harrogate, possibly the worst team I've seen at Hayes Lane in quite some time.
Wow, what did we beat? What was the score when we played them? Was it 3-0? What?
I can't remember what the score was, but they were just so poor.
They offered nothing that day.
They had no shots. Was it EFL or Accrington that had no shots at all? Can't remember which one it was. Might have been Accrington. Yeah. One team came to Hayes Lane and didn't have a shot.
Yeah, I think it might have been Accrington actually.
Yeah.
I thought Accrington were a poor. I think we did them. I think we beat them home and away. They were a poor side. Tranmere did the double over us, but they were a poor side at Hayes Lane as well. And so if I look at teams like, and obviously we can say, well, Mash, they've ended last. So of course they'd struggle in the National League. But Morecambe to me wouldn't even end top 7 in the National League.
No.
And then you look at the teams like Accrington and Harrogate. Obviously Harrogate were in the National League with us, and I look at them and go, but I don't see those type of teams winning the National League.
No, Harrogate's a strange one because they're like perennially 19th now every year, pretty much since they came up. It's a strange one. They just do enough.
So then let's take a kind of finger in the air type look at it based on our reflections across the season. How many of the teams near the bottom do you think? Because I tweeted something yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, I read it.
And some Tranmere fans didn't like it. I didn't even name any teams. That's the worst thing about it. I didn't say what teams I was talking about. But my tweet said that I thought that Bromley had played 7 teams this season who I thought would struggle to make the top 7 in the National League. I didn't state who the 7 teams were. Right, I looked through the league table and I was like, like Gills, for example, was shocking, right? And Obviously, Gillingham are a big club. They have a big budget. So you'd think, actually, in reality, if they went down to the National League, they'd just buy all the best players. And they probably would.
And they get they've got the right manager in now as well.
And now they've got the right gaffer, exactly. But when we Dunham 3-0 at their place, I was like, oh, this lot of rubbish. Like, this Maidenhead would beat you playing like this, if you see what I mean. So
yeah, sure.
Here's my question after all that waffle. How much of the league did you look at this season and think everyone who come, like, so Barnet are coming up, and we don't know who's coming up for the playoffs yet.
Yeah.
For example, would you expect Barnet to go down next year?
No, absolutely not.
Right. Okay. So
I think they've got a great manager.
Yeah.
Already got a good squad, and you would think they're going to add to it.
So how much of League Two did you see this season where you thought, yeah, you'd be ponying the league below as well?
It's good. There's a few teams that will struggle if they went down, but we did give points to a lot of them.
That's the funny thing. So when I spoke to Andy post match, and he was like, "We should have made the playoffs." In fairness, we dropped 4 points to Carlisle.
Yeah,
right. We dropped 6 points to Tranmere.
Yeah.
Now that's 10 already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's other teams who would look at it the same way and go, "Hold on a minute, yeah, but we dropped this and we dropped that." But just take those two who were in the bottom five, and we dropped. Like, I'm sure you watched it at home on the TV. We drew with Newport. They were rubbish.
Yeah, that was a terrible.
They were rubbish. They
finished third from bottom in the end, didn't they?
I think they either third or fourth from bottom.
Yeah.
And that, like, in fairness, that 1-1 draw on another night, Cheek scores about 7 goals. And
he missed a lot.
You look at those games and go, you look at that and go, yeah, we dropped some silly points.
Yeah.
That really should have been picked up. So I can see why Andy's a tad frustrated. But what I would say, going off the back of that, is, and I don't know where you stand on this, Andy's going to watch this, but this is me with my fan hat on, and I'm sure some fans are not going to appreciate me saying this. I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs.
No, I agree. I think I said a little bit about earlier.
We ain't ready for that.
We ain't ready. We're not ready. No, off the pitch especially.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of some of the size of the teams in League One. Yeah, we're not. Let's be an established League Two side, and then, because the thing is, if we'd have got in the playoffs, right, we don't mess about. We would have gone on. We would have gone and pushed to win.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you'd find yourself thinking, "Oh my word!"
Exactly that, right?
Yeah.
And this is the weirdest thing about our inaugural season in the league. Let's just say we got in. Let's just say we sneaked in the last day and came 7th, and we drew Walsall. I would have gone into those games going, yeah, but I ain't afraid of them.
No, we could have won both of those games.
That's what I'm saying. So then, all of a sudden now, you're in a playoff situation like Chesterfield. Yeah. I reckon, I'm looking at the other teams in the playoffs, Walsall, Wimbledon and Notts County.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, we can beat any of you lot.
No one wants to play Chesterfield now, because that's the team that comes in with momentum and with a manager like Cook.
Yeah.
You got to be afraid of them.
And then, of course, if Chesterfield did, let's just say, argument's sake, Chesterfield do it, then you have the narrative of back-to-back champions come up straight from the National League, straight up from League Two, etc. But then that, to me, that really speaks to just how big Chesterfield were when they were in the National League. And if it wasn't for Notts County and Wrexham, they probably would have gone a lot earlier.
Yeah, it's a bottleneck, because when you've only got 2 coming up, there's always going to be really good, well-supported, well-run teams that aren't going to get up. Because we were in a situation a couple of years ago where you had Notts County on over 100 points, and they were 2-0 down to Bormley in the playoff semi-final. It would finished about 30 points behind them. People
forget, right? That National League final, not last year, playoff final, not last year, the year before, it could so easily have been Boreham versus Bromley.
Yeah.
But for a last-minute equaliser at Notts County, but for Deji's red card, who's to say that playoff final that year wouldn't have been Boreham Bournemouth versus Bromley at
Exactly.
Wembley. So yeah, I think what it does show me though, Cole, looking at this season, is what a great grounding the National League is
Yeah.
for League Two. So
Yeah.
even if we agree that there is a step up in quality in League Two, because of the bottleneck in the National League, it forces you to have to be so uber professional in everything you do to try and force your way out. Like it's no coincidence to me that Barnet, having failed last year, have upgraded slightly, like we did when we didn't go through, upgraded slightly, and then just dominated the league the next season. And that's why I don't think they'll struggle next year, because they've had 2 seasons in a row of tweaking.
Yeah.
They're fully professional. They know what they do. They're so well drilled, and that just takes you a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're both the model for it, right? Playoffs, then promotion. You get a taste for it. You find out what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's not, and then once you come up, it's not a huge surprise when you're playing at places like Bradford and Doncaster.
Yeah.
Because you've already played the likes of Wrexham, Notts County, Chesterfield, Grimsby. You've played big teams, big support, big grounds. It's not as big a culture shock as when you get into the National League from National League South, and every game feels like a cup game. The first year you're in the National League, it's not like that when you step up, because you have to work hard to get out of the National League, and it is a nationwide league, so the travelling doesn't come as a shock either.
Yeah, 100. I think the only thing that was different with the League Two for me was that this season it just so happened to be a very northern league. Because of the of who's gone up, down, etc. Whereas next season, so we've already gained Barnet, so that's another London club. We've gained Crawley, which I'm counting now as local. We've gained Cambridge, which might as well be local. Bristol Rovers isn't local, but it's in the south, so it feels like it's less of a
sure.
And obviously we went in the FA Cup before, so already next season you're like, okay, not every game is a trek to the north of the country.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, but let's talk the FA Cup.
Yeah,
I mean, we could go on to talk about the league, but let's talk FA Cup. You're better placed to put this in real perspective than a lot of fans, right? Because, and obviously there's a subsection of fans who will talk about previous FA Cup love, and they're probably not many left who will talk about some previous FA Cups from many decades ago.
Sure.
But I'm trying to find the right words for it. I don't think still that it sunk in what was achieved in the FA Cup. And it's a type of thing where I will look back in years to go and go, shit.
Yeah.
What's the FA Cup third round?
Yeah.
Went to St James's Park and
that was the whole. It was, I think, taking the lead when that goal went in. That was up there with. And I've been going Bromley a long time, right? I went to my first Bromley game when I was 6. It's a long time. That is right up there. When we scored at Newcastle, it was like I completely lost it, and I haven't done that for a long time. We all did, and luckily we all stood together. I was really happy that we all got to stand together for that. It was really, really special. Like the whole day was incredible, and we probably played the best team you could have played because. You know, they're decent guys up there. You know, we got treated really well. We had a really good time. It was, but yeah, taking the lead at a Premier League club, you know, and giving them a wobble to the point that they had to bring on 2 of their big guns at half time. It was brilliant.
100%. And here's the funny thing, right? And this is for all the younger fans or new Bromley fans watching this who have joined this journey probably, I don't know, let's say you're somebody who's joined this journey since just before Wrexham, probably after, let's say after COVID. Because if you've joined this journey since Andy Woodman came on board, to put this in perspective, people, 20 years ago to this day, was it 20 years ago? Was Horsham 20 years ago? Yeah, 20 years ago.
It was 20 years ago.
20 years ago to this day, people, Cole, myself, and probably about There's about 1,000 there that day, and I reckon it must be about 300 Bromley fans, maybe 350. So call myself and maybe about another 300 to 350 Bromley fans journeyed down to Horsham in the Isthmian League Division 1 South playoff final, right? And I want everybody who's watching this who doesn't understand, now go and look at your football pyramid to understand what we are talking about here, right? And that playoff final followed a period of football in Bromley's history. I want to say at least relegation was 99, 2000.
Yeah, we were down there for 6 years.
Yeah, so yes, painful. 5 to 6 years of playing what is now called Ryman Division 1 South, right? Or Isthmian, I don't know what they call it now, actually.
Yeah, but, this one South East.
This one South, right? We were down there for 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
And it sucked. It sucked. It built character, and there's a band of us who almost became friends because of that experience of watching Bromley at the previous way. For those who don't understand, there was one season where we thought we might actually get relegated to the then Kent League. That's how bad it was, right? And when we got promoted that season under George Wakelin and Billy Smith, and we went into the Ryman Prem or Isthmian Prem that year, a lot of us have joked ever since then that we always had a bucket list. And that bucket list always said, one day, I'd love to see Bromley get into the National League or the then conference. And we thought that was a pipe dream. Like, but we just said it because that seemed to be like the dream for Bromley. Because the joke, Cole, was always that, look at the size of Bromley as a borough. How can we not maximize this, right? So the dream was always, can we do that? And can we get to the FA Cup second round, right? So to put Newcastle in perspective, not only have Bromley surpassed the National League dream or the conference dream, not only have we gone to Wembley 3 times since 2018, to the point where I feel like it's home or something. But we've also now completed the FA Cup dream, which is not even get to the third round.
Another thing to put in perspective was, I think it was 2001, we went out of the FA Cup in August. We lost at Hassocks. To the Sussex County League team, right? And we were out of the FA Cup before the kids had gone back to school. It was... So Newcastle was quite special, having endured that.
So it begs the question, Cole. I don't want to say the sky is the limit with this club because things go inside, like there's cycles in football. Nobody would ever have predicted that Manchester United would be one of the shittest teams in the Premier League, right? So things
Dagenham and Redbridge were in League One, and now they're in National League South.
Right. Okay. So things certainly go in cycles. And this Bromley dream / bubble has essentially been, from that Horsham day, 20 years of non-stop progress. Some of it slower than others, but essentially 20 years of progress and 20 years of dreams being fulfilled. Where does it stop, Cole? Because if Andy Woodman stays in post, and he will be here next season, he wants League One. I know that for a fact. He wants League One. Robin Stanton-Gleeves, I think, wants to get the stadium sorted as his priority before anything to do with League One. But Andy refuses to stand still. So where does this stop, Cole? Because Andy's never had a bad season. So where's it stop?
Realistically, League One is probably where, like, we could comfortably, if you look at Crawley, you look at Stevenage, these are teams that have done the journey that we're doing at the moment, right? Wycombe Wanderers did it like 40 years ago, but they made their way up, right? They got into the league, they established themselves, and now you look at them in League One, you think, they've kicked that through that glass ceiling, and they're there. There is the potential for us to do that without a doubt.
You reckon?
For League One, but no further than that, I wouldn't think. But then when you get there, Who knows?
So
It's a cautionary tale, I guess. Is Yeovil did get in the championship for a season and then
free fall back
wow,
down.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
But Cole, hear me out then. I hear you. And obviously, until the new stand is built, it's hard for me to visualize.
yeah,
Yes, I've seen some pictures, but it's actually hard for me to visualize what Bromley Stadium is going to look like until it's done.
yeah,
And only when that new stand goes up do I think I'll start to believe that this is a club that can push on further. And maybe we should now get to it, because there are some. I don't know if negatives is too strong a word, but let's call it teething problems. There have been quite a lot of teething problems
without a
off
doubt,
the field when it comes to Bromley. And this is why I've asked you where's the limit? Because as much as Andy can want to push on to League One, and I think next season he's targeting playoffs no matter what, right?
Yep.
Off the field, whilst the players have a league set up for their facilities, so the players we were in the changing rooms on Monday for the charity game, and I was looking. Do you know what? I didn't even say it to you. I was looking around the changing room, going, "Okay, the players have it nice." Like, I remember being in there back in the Ryman days. Okay, so the players have it nice, right? And in the back, they've got all of the gym facilities, and they got the ice baths across, I think, another part of the stadium. They've got all of the players that come from league clubs talk about they can't believe what the facilities that Bromley have, and they think it's on par with upper echelon teams in higher divisions, etc. Great. So, and Robin has done that on purpose, because I think Robin's attitude is, there is no excuses I'm not giving my employees any excuses about the football environment they are in. They have everything they could possibly need to excel. Great. And I know Robin might listen to this. So, and Robin will know that if I'm saying this, it's because a lot of people have told me this. I'm not sure the same can be said for the fan experience.
No, definitely not.
I'm not sure the fans are have got the best deal this season. And because I'm so detached from it, Colin, this is why I want you to answer.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I'm so detached from it because, and I'll freely admit it, I come to games, I walk up to the press section, I sit down, I get out my laptop, and I start prepping for the match. I write the matches, and I don't leave from there till I've interviewed Andy and their gaffer, and then I leave. So I miss everything.
Yeah,
I miss the getting in. I miss the people who abuse Amy to the point where Amy's now left because of that, which is disgusting. I miss the queues in Broomfields. I miss the toilet situations. Talk to me, Cole. What's been going on off the field?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of issues. Of course, you've got the problems with the turnstiles, people's tickets not working. You know, I had a situation where one of my son's friends, who I took with us, found himself on the outside of the stadium with his ticket not working, and when we were all inside, and it took 45 minutes to sort it out. It's not been great. On the east side, on the East Terrace, where we have our season tickets, there's literally no facilities, none. Literally,
is this the one where you've moved to now?
No. This is where we were before
originally.
So on the East Terrace, what we were in until for the 1st of Feb, there's nothing. Like, there's like a Portaloo that's probably should be condemned, and that's it. So, you know, it's pretty sparse. Like when we got to the ground, I always say to my son, if you want anything to eat or drink, you get it as we go in from Cookie's cabin, because I'm not coming back. I'm not walking all the way around again. You know, since we've been on the West Terrace, and since they've cut the capacity down to 3,000, it's actually been really pleasant. We have a toilet, we have a tea bar, we have a terrace that can take the amount of people that's on it, and I've really enjoyed being on the West Terrace. And the facilities.
What are you renewing for next season?
I've gone back, but because everybody else I stand with wants to go to the east side,
right?
I've had to go along, but I'd rather have stayed on the West Terrace. The ground the facilities, everything can cope with 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Anything above that is a disaster. It's really, really hard work, and it's not pleasant until the game kicks off, and then you forget it all. You know, and then by the time you've left the ground at 5 o'clock, even though sometimes you get route marched around the back of the Glen Beverley stands, it's all faded into the distance, and you forget about it until 2 o'clock.
Until the next
Saturday, you turn up and you do it all again. It's probably like going to football in the 80s, in the up in the Division 1. Then you get treated a bit like that. It's, you know, there's too many people on the East Terrace sometimes. There's no facilities, and it's all a bit uncomfortable. But you put up with it because you want to watch football.
So then, okay, so talk to me then. So where do you draw? Where's your line then between success on the pitch versus not forgetting the people off the pitch?
It's a tough one. I think I totally get you've got to invest in a team, because if you don't put something out on the pitch that people want to watch, doesn't matter if you're sitting in the nicest stadium in the world, because it's no point, is there? Like, you go to MK Dons and they've got this incredible stadium and it's got 7,000 people in it. It's you've got to get the balance right. But at the moment, I think they need to spend some money on the facilities for the supporters, because, you know, people like me will put up with anything, right? But I'd watch Bromley if they played in Norman Park, or if they played in the Premier League, if I could afford it. You know, it wouldn't change anything for me. I'm a Bromley supporter. Some people will only come if it's an enjoyable experience. So it's to be interested to see what the season ticket take-up is like this year, because I know a lot of people that bought season tickets and literally went to about half a dozen games. So
this is part of the problem. Let's touch on that, actually, because over the last few seasons, so me personally, again, I accept that I'm detached from it all. I mean, I get in on a press pass through Football League papers. I don't even pay for the flipping ticket, so I accept that it might be a bit rich from me to make the statement I'm about to make. I think the prices are fair for next season, because I think people have to accept that the Wembley win against Wrexham, when they did that deal of, what was it, £97?
97 quid, yeah.
The following season, I think they only raised it by £100 or something stupid like that. This is probably this next season coming the first time where they've charged something close to what they probably should be charging, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the ballpark of what they should charge.
Yeah.
It is clouded and confused by the fact that obviously the stadium isn't ready until, the new stand isn't ready until the start of September. And here's the thing, Cole, no one said it officially, obviously not. There's no guarantees even ready by then.
No, I'm looking at it.
And all this time I've been thinking, but what happens if the builders don't get it done in time?
Well, I guess we get the situation you've got this year where you're going to have to claim tickets for every game to say you're coming.
But then that again leads to the same situation. The fans are like, hold on, what the hell is this? And X, Y, Z. So I say all that to say, Cole, that this is why I've always said to people, probably more privately, although I'm now saying on a public platform, we've grown too fast. We've actually
for the facilities that we've got, without a doubt. Yeah, definitely.
We're being asked to upgrade facilities to a level of football that we got too much quicker than we expected.
I agree. Yeah.
and therefore, every little thing the club does, there's always going to be significant criticism with it, because we've also grown too fast off the pitch. So we've developed a brand new fan base. I looked at the year we went up from Conference South.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago, sugar.
Yeah.
Our attendance, the game before Boreham Wood, I think we played Eastbourne or something.
Mm-hmm.
In that run into the end of the season.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think we played Eastbourne, Boreham Wood, Western Superman was the final game. But anyways, or maybe Eastbourne was after Boreham Wood, I can't remember, but we beat them 2-1. And I saw the other day, Cole, that the attendance for that match was 1,300 and something.
Yeah.
Right? That's only about 10 years. 10 years.
Right.
About 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Our average attendance when the stadium wasn't being knocked down this season was about 3,500, right? So a brand new fan base has turned up. Bromley is an affluent borough. That fan base has money. People are buying tickets for Bromley, well in the knowledge that Bromley's their second club, and just picking and choosing if they're gonna turn up or not.
Yeah.
And I think that with that, and also because the team's been successful, it's all led into this kind of culture of raised expectations.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone really wants to hear, yeah, but we're struggling. We've got teething problems. We'll work this out soon. I think people are like, no, we want this now, and we also want success on the pitch now as well. Well, we want it all now.
Yeah.
What's your views on that?
Yeah. I think you're probably right. Yeah. I think
So
I think the expectation is there, as you say, like if you've been going when, let's be honest, Hayes Lane was falling to pieces before Jerry turned up, right? It was almost dangerous. And now, so for us, like you look at it around and think, oh yeah, I can put up with this. But there must be a certain element of people that are coming down. Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah.
There has to be. To be. When was the Glen Beverley stand built? I'm trying to remember. Was that when we were in the National League?
That was we were in the National League, yeah.
Yeah.
It was after the first Wembley appearance, before the second one.
Right. So even when we went into the National League, we still had the benches end.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And that puts it in perspective for me. Like we went into the National League with the benches end.
Yeah, when we beat Gateshead in the semi-final of the trophy, 2018, I was on the benches end because we had the glorious pylon when one of Louis' goals went in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so I think that time scale for me shows just how quick the club has had to.
Yeah.
Now, I say though, to give Robin his due, for all we know, once that stand is built, everything's fixed.
Yeah. Well, I think I think realistically, the stand could be dropped in and ready to stand on in September, October, right? But the facilities, you would imagine, are going to take a lot longer.
No, but Cole, here's my problem. They need the facilities to be ready.
Yeah, and I don't think they will be.
If we just have a stand which is brand spanking new, but there's still nowhere to piss.
Yeah, I think that's a realistic prospect. I think the infrastructure will take a lot longer. I think we'll still be marching around and trying to show our ticket 4 times to a steward to get to a toilet. You know.
Listen, if anybody officially from Bromley is watching this, Colin and I are doing this with the club's best interests at heart. So we're only having these conversations because we're trying to pinpoint things that you may want to just have ready before fans immediately start kicking you in the shin, saying why is this bad or why is that bad, and so on and so forth. Anyways, Cole, listen. We should have stopped this a while back. So let's wrap this with the following reflections. And obviously, anyone who's watching this, you'll see some ticker tapes below. I'm fairly certain anybody who's watching this already subscribes to the From Bromley with Love Substack page where all the articles go. But the link's below. If you don't, go and subscribe to that. You can also find Bromley with Love on X. You can find Cole on X as well. I'll put his handle below as well. So if you want to kind of follow people from that. But Cole, let's just have some last reflections on the following. Going to talk about some players. So let's talk about the loanees first. So the following loanees leave. Kamal Grant goes back to Millwall. Danny Imre goes back to Palace. Cam Congreve goes back to Swansea. Who am I missing? Maldini. Who?
Adam Mayer goes back to Millwall.
Oh, sorry, Adam Mayer goes back to Millwall. Maldini Kakure didn't really play, but he goes back to Arsenal. I think those were our 5 at the back end of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, we're stuck with. Again, Andy's very bullish. He's like, I'll just find another set of loanees, and he has been very good in the loanee market. In fact, you look back over every season that he's been here, He's played the loanee market exceptionally well.
well.
Every season, he's found someone who's gone on to make some kind of impact. I think the good thing, Cole, is because Congreve and Imre in particular, and Kamal actually, played all season, made an impact. Their game has undoubtedly improved, all three of them, particularly in the graft element. All three have become better players. I think for Bromley, it basically now means that they know, or should know, that they can go back to Millwall and Palace in particular and get the best players at Millwall and Palace.
Absolutely.
I think we've put ourselves in the conversation for those two London clubs to say, give us who is literally knocking on your first team door, but you want to give experience to.
Yeah, exactly.
And we will polish them up for you.
Yeah, I see it. And Millwall seem to have this conveyor belt of really good defenders. So hopefully we'll get another one next year.
Well, so let's talk on that. So I saw today that Woking, so Chinakoli, ended the season at Woking. They've offered him a contract to sign permanently. I think his Millwall contract has run down, and it looks like I would assume he's going to sign permanently at Woking.
Right.
Alex Kirk, who we had last season, was signed permanently by Sutton in the end. He's possibly regretting that he didn't sign the deal that Bromley gave him.
Well,
at the back end of last season.
Yeah.
Kamal Grant, Cole, I think we can get him permanently.
I'm hoping, out of all the loanees, he's the one you think, oh, do we have a shout? That would be really nice. Yeah.
So I'd
be very happy.
I think Robin can tempt Millwall with an offer. I genuinely believe he can, because Millwall have to make a decision on Kamal. I think he's got a year left of his contract, right? And they have to make a decision. Do they think he can break into their squad anytime soon? And if the answer is no, cash in on him.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So if I'm Andy Woodman and Robin St. I'm trying to just buy him permanently. The other two, no chance.
No,
right?
exactly.
Or three, sorry, no chance. What in the world can we get them? So that's the loanees. In terms of the squad, Cole, Louis, let's talk on Louis. Because if I'm not even going to give you an intro, let's just talk on Louis. Yeah,
he's a legend. Okay, he's a bona fide legend. From the, he turned up when we were in National League South on loan from Dagenham. We were struggling, and all of a sudden there was someone like, God, someone worth watching. Someone who's going to do something special.
Yeah.
And anybody that was at the semi-final first leg at home to Gateshead in 2018, 2 top draw goals in one of the most important games in the club's history at that point. And he's scored so many great goals, and he's a genuinely lovely bloke as well. So really, if this is the end for him at Bromley, it's a real shame. But obviously, he'll always be very highly thought of amongst the fan base.
I said in the last article I wrote, that I think what got me, and obviously I went and found Louis and said my goodbyes and stuff, because I think that is it.
Yeah.
And, I think the reason it hits me hard, other than the fact that Louis, one of my favourite players at Bromley in the whole time I've been watching, is that to me, that's it now. There's Bromley, there's Bromley pre-COVID, and there's Bromley post-COVID. And Louis, to me, Louis is literally the last link to a time that a lot of fans never saw.
For sure.
Bromley, like I'm talking about the benches end Bromley. I'm talking about we're going away somewhere far, and the players are on the same train as us, Bromley. I'm talking about that era. No overnight stay.
That's right.
You're getting on the same train in the same carriage. Bromley fans. So he's from an era of Bromley that almost seems like it was a light year away. Compared to what now goes on. So do you know what I call it now? The era we're now in is gold kit Bromley, where they're like,
Yeah.
Bromley 2.0. Like
Yeah.
it's a completely different beast that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
It's nothing like the previous era. So Louis' departure it's almost like to me
Yeah.
goodbye to that Bromley then.
Yeah.
If you see
I
what I'm
get
saying.
that totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Last few, because like I say, just last few, some more at the time.
Sure.
Byron Webster, play him next season or not?
I'm guessing he's going to become on the coaching staff and would be a useful player to have around if required. I mean, I can't say his level of performance dropped off, which is phenomenal for a guy at his age. Like I can't point at a performance towards the end of the season where I thought, blimey, he's struggling.
Yeah.
So maybe he gets a player contract as well, but sure, we cannot lose the experience on the coaching side of things. You know, he's got to. You'd imagine he'll step into the role that Alan Dunn was doing. I would think.
And then final question. Looking at our squad as things stand right now,
Yeah,
we know that Fella's gone. We know that Louis
yeah,
gone. Maloney's have gone. When you look at your Bromley squad right now, then let's say Robin gives you a bunch of money.
yeah.
Where's the first upgrade you're making in this? What do you, based on our first season, what do you think are the critical? And I'm not talking about filling gaps, Cole. I'm not talking about I would need to just get a player in there. I'm talking about, let's say Andy wants to get playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And let's say he brings you onto the coaching staff and he's like, right, Cole, what do we need to do? Where are you upgrading in the side?
Centre mid. We've had
Okay.
2 centre mid.
What type of centre mid?
One horrible scumbag who everybody's afraid of, and one who can distribute the ball and pass and play people in. And then another, we need 1, maybe 2 centre backs. Because if we're going to play 3 at the back,
yeah,
you need at least 5 centre backs on your book, at least. So yeah, that's where I'm happy with what we got up front. Absolutely. If Cheek's still here, and Kabamba, I still think there's a lot more to see from him. Delighted that he got 2 goals at the end of the season.
Yeah, listen,
got that particular thing off him. You know, he's scored now. It's kind of a shame for him that the end of season came when it did.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping, based on what I saw at the back end of the season, I'm hoping Andy saw enough to go, wait a minute, I could put those 2 up front to be battering rams.
Yeah.
Look, I know it didn't work in that game against Colchester when Kabamba just joined, but the back end of the season, particularly that game against, I know it was the end of the season, but I was like, no, these 2 can work together.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a similar, it's not an either or thing here. It can.
And we got a pre-season for them to work together as well now. So,
yeah.
You know, and our level of fitness is ridiculous. It's incredible. And I think someone like Ilunga, I'm really excited about what he can do, completely fit and up to like Bromley's level of fitness. Because, you know, we spend a lot of time without the ball, right?
Yeah.
All the stats show that. We very rarely edge more than 40% possession. So you have to work hard when you play like that. So you've got to be supremely fit.
And final person, only because as you were talking, I just remembered it as you were talking. It seems that Harry McCurdy is off. All rumours seem to suggest that Crawley tapped him up and he's gone. I mean, time will tell, but that's what I've certainly been told. Disappointed, or do you think that's just pass and pop? That's how the cookie crumbles. That's part of the game.
I got to be honest, not overly bothered.
I thought you'd say that. That's why I asked you. That's exactly why I asked. That's exactly why I asked you, because I thought, I bet Cole don't care. What are you saying? A lot of fuss about nothing?
No, I mean, there's obviously a fantastic player in there. Scored some great goals, but it was a weird signing for me anyway. It was just a really strange. I was like, this is such an un-Woodman signing. But it was worth a try. Yeah. And it wasn't a failure, but if he wants to go, that's fine, go. You know.
I hear you. Listen, Cole, you and I could talk for ages and ages and ages.
Yeah, that's true.
We probably should be doing a part 2 on this. But people, if you've enjoyed that as ever, the the comments below. That's where you need to comment. Look in the descriptor of the video to where to follow all the different things from Bromley with Love, Cole, etc. And I guess all that's really left for me to say, people, is enjoy the off season. They seem to be, they feel like they're shorter and shorter these days because there's always a tournament going on or something's going on, and the 24/7 nature of football news cycles means you don't really get a rest from it.
No, that's
so
right.
Believe it or not, people, try to rest, try to enjoy it, because before you know it, the pre-season fixtures will be out. The EFL fixtures will the EFL trophy fixtures will be out. The Carabao Cup trophy fixtures will be out. Before you know, be like, wait, it's back already. So
you're not wrong there.
So just enjoy this break, people. I'll be putting out some content, some articles over the off season, looking at players and this, that, and the third. And Colin and I will try to. My plan is the next season. Famous last words. Colin and I will actually do this regularly. But
that'd be great. Yeah,
let's see. That's my plan, and let's see how it goes. Cole, last word to you.
Yeah, enjoy the summer. It's been a fantastic first season as a Football League club. Have a rest, and let's get going again come August. Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, Cole. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all very, very soon.